Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, today I want to take a closer look at my brand new Xiaomi or FIMI X8 SE 2020 edition that I just got in not too long ago. Now, I did post a video to my channel just with some sample footage, but I haven't done anything actually showing the drone. So I want to take it up today and fly it around and test some of it. This is not going to be a full review. As you guys probably know if you are subscribed to my channel, the process of moving actually in between my parents, where I'm at my hometown today, different spot than you guys have ever seen, and my in-laws until our new house is finished. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be not going to be able to do my typical full table reviews like I used to do in the past. So I'm going to go over as much as I can on the drone here out in the field, then we'll take it up and fly it. Now, as you can tell, this looks just like the original FIMI X8 SE. There's three differences that I'm aware of that they advertise between this and the original version. Now, one of them is they suppose it has a little longer flight time than the original, but I would take that with a grain of salt. And also, I believe they've increased the transmission distance. I think it was up to 8 kilometers over the original one, which I think, again, I don't have any notes here, so I could be wrong, but I think the original one was more like 6 or something like that. And the thing that excited me the most is they've added HDR to the camera. It's still a 4K at 30 frames per second, but they've added HDR. Now, unfortunately, when I did that video the other day, I found out it's not really true 10-bit HDR. My 4K Roku HDR TV doesn't bring up the HDR logo when you play it. It still looks really good, and for this price, I paid $2.99 for this. It's obviously not that cheap now. You can get it for maybe as low as $3.99, but I mean, it looks really good, you know, and the footage, the colors are really just fantastic. Now, this is, unless there's a firmware update today that I'm aware of, this is running the latest firmware updates, and there's probably been several of them that was rolled into that. So that really did some improvements to the camera and the gimbal and all that stuff. Now, in that footage, I did notice a bit of crooked horizon at times. I thought, though, sometimes, you know, you can see that, and it can just be the lay of the land tricking you as well. And I thought I saw some jello at times in certain directions, but don't let that fool you too much. I'm not talking about a bunch of jello wobble. I'm talking about on a 4K resolution on a really good screen, seeing this slight jiggle, but it's very minute. And if you look at my sample footage I posted the other day, it's not in that clip. It was only in the first clip. You know, it divides the clips up into like 4 gigabyte files, and I only posted the second clip. So that's the differences that I'm aware of between the original and this new version, because it's still got it, you know, optical flow on the bottom here, and it's got a sonar, and it uses that. It has precision landing, so it's going to take a picture looking down to you know, analyze the ground to help it might try to do a precision landing. Now, excuse me, I noticed that it says something about, you know, detecting a landing pad. I hope you don't need a landing pad for that. If you do, then this precision landing won't work right, because it could be looking for those landing pads. I have 2 of those, and I simply have them packed away and forgot to bring them with me. I don't know where they are. So we'll have to see. If the precision landing does need that, then obviously it's not going to work too good. We'll have to see. I've never heard of one requiring a landing pad, but maybe it does. So let me go ahead and set the drone down here, and we'll take a quick look at the controller. Like I said, this is all going to be out here in the field. So the controller looks just like I recall from the first one. I didn't own the first one, but Marcus over at Idaho Quadcopter did lend me his for a few flights back last fall. So I have flown the original one. I wasn't super impressed with the camera on that original one. It's kind of grainy. I don't see that in this one, so I'm thinking the camera has some improvements. But other people say that the new one isn't as good as the old one, so I don't know. Anyway, you've got your power button, you've got your GPS and your return to home on the switch. Over here is a toggle switch that lets you go through menus and switch stuff that way if you want to. This is your automatic takeoff and landing. This dial on the top, let's see, one of them, I'll have to practice here. I believe the left one, it could be the right. One of these is the gimbal pitch, and one is for EV exposure changes. And then the back here, I believe, is your photo video. I usually use the app for that, except for the gimbal pitch. I usually change the EV in the app, so I'm not too worried about that. And of course the phone fits in the middle, and you get 3 different cables, micro USB, USB-C like my phone uses, and a lightning cable if you have an iPhone, an Apple phone. So yeah, that's everything to do with the drone. This is rechargeable, of course, and the battery, this is a 3S LiPo, 3S LiPo, a high voltage LiPo in the actual drone itself. All right, so what I'm gonna do now, enough talking, you guys are probably getting sick of that anyway. So we'll go ahead and take it up. I have pretty good, you know, there's not a lot of obstructions here, so I should be able to fly this thing a ways out without losing. Lots of times when I fly stuff, there's obstruction close by, and that causes a huge reduction in your transmission range. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop the video, get this thing bound up. It shouldn't need a compass calibration, so I'm not gonna go over that. Those are always easy, just spinning in a circle each direction, horizontal and vertical. It doesn't, I don't think it's gonna require one, but if it does, I'll do it, and then we'll send it out here and let you guys see how it flies in my head cam, and I'll do a screen recording so you can see how the app looks, and then we'll also include the onboard footage, which is obviously the most important. So I'll be right back, guys. All right, guys, so I'm back. I've got it all bound up here with the app. And one thing I didn't mention is I wanted to show you guys what everything is included with the box on this. So I think I took a photo when I got it. I'll include that photo here if I still have it on my phone to show you all the package contents of the drone. You can see all the accessories and everything that comes with it that I would usually cover in a table review if I were able to do one, which of course I said I can't right now. Now I'm going to be recording at 1080p at 60 frames per second to sync it up with my head cam, so I'm not going back and forth between, you know, different frames per second. So I'm doing 1080p at 60, and we'll take it up here and we'll fly it around. Now I'm not doing any HDR. I'm just going to do basic 1080p at 60. I'm going to fly it around. I'll do we'll try to do a precision landing and see if that does work without a landing pad. I'm not going to test any smart features today. I'm going to come back and do a separate video for that. So when I get it up in the air here, I had this lady pull up right behind me there as I was getting ready to film, and it was kind of odd. Of all places, a car would pull behind me when I'm ever out here doing this video. So yeah, I put that picture up here of the of all the package contents so you guys can see what all comes with the drone. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll take it up now. So let's go ahead and let's press the actually let's go ahead and do a screen recording first. I got to make sure that I'm screen recording. So let me go ahead and exit out of the app. Hopefully we'll be able to get back into it. Let's go ahead and get Mobizen started up here. Mobizen always likes to vibrate the phone. Let's see if I can get that to work now. And the app is the FIMI Navi 2020 app. I'll also put that up for you guys to see what that app looks like. So let's go ahead and start that back up. Let's see. Yeah, Mobizen moved to the side, so it should be in the right layout now. So let me go ahead and start recording the screen, and there we go. All right, so now we're recording the screen, so let's go ahead and let's start recording some video. And now let's go ahead and take it up. So I'm just going to press the auto takeoff. Now I've noticed this drone doesn't have the most stable, it wobbles around a little more than you'd like to expect, but that's stuff they can tune in the flight control software. Now if you're going to do the precision landing, take it up a ways and hover it. I'm going to stay over the spot so they can get a good view of the ground with the downward facing camera. So just hover there a little bit. I'm not sure. I've heard 100 feet. That's probably a bit high in my opinion. I'm going to take it up. I am, let's see, how high am I here? I am up 50 feet. So that ought to be pretty good. Now when I opened up the app, there was a firmware update available, and the only thing it did, now see, I can see it moving a little bit there, is it's just a flight control update for just adjusting the height when you're near a no-fly zone. So I'm not really worried about that. Now one thing I noticed, this gimbal, and I'll show you guys here, the gimbal is actually to the left. You can actually look up. See that? So you can actually look up, which is pretty cool. So it is a little more difficult to know if you're looking on level because you have to set that yourself. Most drones, level is all the way up. Let's go ahead and fly it out now. So they do need to tweak the flight controller some, because these it's very bright today, guys. It looks to me like the horizon looks a little crooked there, but then again, I don't know exactly if there's elevation change that could affect that too. I'm not going to fly it out too far here. Let's kind of look down. You can see the water tower off in the distance there in my hometown. The park I'm at today is Lincoln Park. No relation to the band. Fly it over there towards the Catholic school. This ought to have really good range today because I don't have any obstructions in front of me. So it is getting out towards the edge of my view, and you're supposed to, of course, keep things within line of sight. So I'm not going to go too far here, guys. Now see, the horizon looks pretty nice there off in the distance there. If you look right there, way off in the distance, I'll stop, is the Baldwin power plant. Those three stacks there. That is an old coal burning, very dirty power plant. You can see the Catholic and the Lutheran churches here in town off in the right in front of us there. This is where I grew up, not far from where I was living before, only about 13 miles. But yeah, I got nice transmission. The horizon looks nice and good. Let's look off that way and see, is there any sort of a tilt in the horizon due to elevation changes, or is that just the gimbal? And looking off in the direction I was before, it looks pretty level. So yeah, there was a bit of tilt. They need to tweak that. Now you can adjust that yourself. The problem is, if you're making a compensation to the gimbal and it doesn't usually do it, then you're going to always have a crooked gimbal whenever it's working right. So I wouldn't adjust that unless you have a permanently tilted gimbal. And I think, you know, the slower you yaw like this and stuff, it's going to be less likely that you're going to have problems. When you yaw really fast in movements, that's when you're going to be more likely to see gimbal issues. But then again, the drone should be able to handle that. And so a lot of people like to do the quick movement test. I know Marcus does, to see if it affects the gimbal, and I don't always remember to do that. So there is the looks like there's a hospital. Getting a little bit of breakup in my FPV at times, but I'm also not facing that. If you see in my head cam, that smokestack there, that's how far away I am, so I'm not very far. See the other water tower, and I'm going to tilt down the gimbal a little, and you can see a cell phone tower off in the distance there. Moving out now, and down there is the little ways is Route 3, the Great River. I think it's the Great River Road, they call it. It goes along the Mississippi River here in Illinois. But yeah, it looks good in here. That's very bright, so even with my sunglasses, I'm dealing with a lot of glare on my screen. I'm going to be flying off this way. I'm actually more off this way right now, but I'm only out 800 feet, so I'm not out really far, guys. Try to be reasonable about that so we don't go too far out of line of sight and stuff. You can see these lights up here, so we're not very far away. And if I turn it some more here, you should be able to see I am going to be on the center of the screen somewhere. I think you can see me walking across the there's a car coming here, and a little bit of breakup in the feed. So what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to let it do a return to home from, we're about 529 feet out, so we should be good. I'm gonna press return to home. It says auto return. And let's see, I had this little dark patch here on the road I set it on. Let's see, hopefully this car coming in now, it looks like it's fine. I wanna make sure no cars come through as it's trying to land. It should be flying back now. Overall, I really enjoy this drone. I like the look of it. I like the way it flies. And I've flown, this will be my third flight. I really enjoy this drone, and you really can't complain for the price. My goodness, even if you get it for $400. Here I am, guys. Away, but you probably won't be able to see it. I'm gonna see if I can look down. Okay, here it is up overhead. Now I don't see any mention of, let's see if it gets closer, if it says anything about that landing pad. If it doesn't, that's simply because I need a landing pad. It actually says that from what I've seen in other videos. So the fact it's not saying anything makes me think that I probably actually need a landing pad. But we'll see. Which is fine. We can test how is it doing it without that, you know, without the precision landing. It looks to me like it's pretty good. That spot you see in the middle there is actually where I took off. So yeah, I did not see it. Now I know it doesn't always work too, so it's also a possibility, but I'm thinking it probably needs a landing pad where it can actually identify that. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and that's another thing the FIMI does, is when you land, it auto stops recording, because it figures you're not gonna want to record with the drone on the ground. That's really handy because it's easy to forget. And if you power stuff off, that's when you could end up corrupting your video file and you end up with nothing. So yeah, that was really nice. That worked really well. I can switch it back to the regular flight mode. Yeah, that worked really well. It was nice and steady. Horizon for the most part was level. The footage looked good to me, and return to home was off by, even though it didn't say anything there, I mean, what is that off? 2 feet maybe at that. Now again, I don't know, I just know in the video I saw it was saying, you know, landing pad detected. So I'm thinking the precision landing, to use that is, you know, it needs to identify something on the ground, and maybe the software is programmed to locate those landing pads. That's something I'm not aware of, and I didn't see any mention of it in the instruction manual whenever I was reading it, because there's not a whole lot to the instruction manual on this drone. So I'm not going to really be able to test that. I've got 2 of them. I don't want to go buy another one for this, and I just don't know where they're probably packed up in a box, and I didn't mean to put them away, so I don't have the landing pad with me. All right, guys, I think that's good enough for some initial overview and flight test to kind of show you the footage and how it flew. You know, it seemed to be, like I said, it does wobble a little bit, and I think they can, you know, tighten up those PIDs and the tuning for the flight controller. But it's not bad. But when you do look at the footage when you're holding position, you'll see the background move some. And let's say my Alto Evo, when I fly it, it looks like it's sitting on a tripod. It just holds its position better than this drone. But it's not like this is bad. This is probably reminds me of, it's not quite as bad as my old CX-20 would be, but this is stuff they can tighten up, and I fully expect them to get that tuned. So I'm not overly worried, and it's not like it's bad. So my only critiques would be the sometimes tilted horizon, the little bit of lack of, you know, the little wobbliness in the air. You know, that would be my main 2 gripes that I can think of offhand. There could be others, but they're all small. All right, guys, that wraps up this first, you know, first person view. I should say first person, third person view. You know, since I had a FPV footage from the original of the FIMI X8 SE 2020. Be sure to stay tuned to the channel. I'll come back and do a video where I test the smart features. There's like a droney mode that it does, and it'll fly back. There's, you know, circle me and, you know, follow me and all your standard ones. It's got a spiral mode. It's got a lot more than most of your GPS drones would have on the lower cost. This drone really, to me, blows everything out of the water at that even sub $400 range you can get it at. right, guys, that wraps it up. I've said it a million times. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click that bell so you know when I do upload a new video. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.
The power of the dark side.